Welcome to the SJ Childs Show, where a little bit of knowledge can turn fear into understanding. Enjoy the show. Hi, and thanks for joining the SJ Childs Show. Today, I'm so excited to have this conversation. We already started, and I figured, oh my gosh, we're going to reveal too many good things. So let's get started right away. This is Sasha. I hope that is how you pronounce it. I hope.
Sasha.
Sasha. Oh, with the
Yes.
I should have been more phonetic about that. I usually am very phonetic, and I see the dash. So gosh, that's
Nope, you're just
beautiful,
fine. I'm used to
beautiful.
it.
Oh, and thank you so much for being here today. And I'm excited to just uncover more about you and talk about kind of our similarities and the paths that we're on and going down. So introduce yourself. Let us know a little bit about yourself, why you're here.
Yes. So my name is Sasha, and I come from the mental health field. So I'm a licensed professional counselor and a licensed alcohol and drug counselor in the state of Oklahoma. So I've been doing that for over a decade now. And then recently during COVID, I had my first little one right in the midst of everything. And so he's going to be
Wow.
3 this May, and I have an 11-week-old. But whenever I had him, during the midst of all the craziness, I decided to actually completely transition career fields and left the role that I was playing as more administrative in the mental health and substance abuse field and combined my passion for that with a passion for health and went completely all in on running a remote business, which we do now successfully from our home. And I'm able to be with my kids.
Yay.
And so, yes, it's been a great transition, but definitely some ups and downs and some learning over the last few years, to say the least.
Isn't that the truth? And not
Yes.
to not to say everybody had to go through lots of learning during those pandemic years and moving everything online and getting more comfortable with, being at home. And hopefully you were in a happy place when you were there.
Yes.
And I'm sure that's something that you saw a lot of changes occur during that time, not only in your own family, but
Hmm.
in the mental health world. Yeah. What do you think was the most important lesson you can look back and learn that you've learned maybe from that time period?
To let go of letting fear control so much
Mm,
of my life. I had a lot of
wow.
fear
Yeah.
of failure, just from a personal perspective and also professionally. And I feel like I was at, the top of my career field and like a really good spot in my career when all these things kind of started happening. And they actually, I got forced a little bit to change careers as far as they were closing down one of my offices and
Yeah.
I was going to be required to be on the road a lot more. And in Oklahoma, things are really spread out. I'm like, I have a newborn, I can't be on the road
Yeah.
5 hours, 6 hours a day plus working. So it was a really scary time. And
Yeah.
I always feel like I was always scared of failure. And that would slow me down or hold me back. And during all of that, I was like, I just have to throw it out the window. I just have to let it
Mhm.
go and be okay with falling and learning and growing. And so that's been my biggest lesson that I've just taken away over the past few years is we're going to mess up. And that's our opportunity to grow and learn. And now, even having 2 kids over the past few years of, it's like you're going to have your rough days, but on those rough days, that's when we grow the most,
Yeah.
even as a parent.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's so interesting how we align like ourselves, our energies, paths, everything, the vibe. Because my husband and I were just talking about like taking more risks, like as far as,
Hmm.
doing more things that might make us a little bit more uncomfortable and really forcing ourselves to go into those spots to grow. And that's something that you should be doing, and if you're not, that's okay too. There's rest periods and then there's productivity periods.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. And I think that it's important to always want to learn more, grow more, but at the same time, like you said, you got to stay within your boundaries and in your, lifestyle, and make sure that it's right for you, as, not traveling all day long with infants, obviously.
Hmm.
And I'm so proud of you that you were able to make that commitment to yourself and to your family. That's really inspiring.
Like there's no that fear of failure. And it's like it's the weirdest thing because like when I have actually somebody completely depending on me is when I decide to overcome the fear and actually do it. It's probably one of the scariest times in my life. I was like, there is no option for failure anymore.
Yeah.
It almost took it off the table for me. So I'm like, this is going to work.
Hmm.
If
Yeah.
we Because if we stay there, if we never go to the grocery store because it gives us anxiety, like how are we supposed to overcome that anxiety? And I always just am working with clients all the time. I'm like, just be 1% better. Let's make progress just by 1%. It doesn't have to be huge.
Yeah.
We just want to be 1% better than we were this morning, than we were yesterday. And I think we make it so big in our minds as, it's all or nothing. And we're
Yeah.
all looking for that instant gratification. Like it doesn't work that way.
Mm-mm.
So we
No.
just look for incremental progress. Just so 1% better just seems it seems small enough and so doable. And
Yeah.
that's what we need.
Absolutely. And I think that when we figure out ways to measure that too, whether it is through journaling or we set a timeline for ourselves, those types of things will help us measure those things and feel successful
Mm-hmm.
to reach those goals.
Yes,
Yeah,
I love that you said that.
definitely.
What we put in is definitely what gives us our fuel, and we know we're busy. We have a lot to get through in a day and a lot to
Yeah.
keep up with, and it's like we have to fuel ourselves appropriately. And even you're just like, oh, there's no harm in having a chocolate chip muffin. And I tell everybody like, there's no harm in that. It's learning how to do it, how to balance it out,
Yeah.
so that way you can still be healthy and
Yeah.
make sure that whatever goals or path that you're trying to go after, that we're still getting there and just each our own individual way.
Hmm. What are some tips you might give somebody starting out new on the journey to find better health, wellness, and kind of the whole picture?
So I would say one of my biggest tips is just consistency.
Mhm.
Anything that we do consistently is going to just add up. We just start to stack those wins. And so be consistent, find something that actually brings you joy and that you enjoy doing, because
Mhm.
then you're going to do it.
Yeah.
So if somebody's telling you not to eat chocolate chip muffins and you're like, I have to have my chocolate chip muffin every day, it's like in my mind, it's my job to help you figure out how to have that but still be successful.
Yeah.
So that way you like what you're doing, so you'll continue to do it.
Hmm.
So whether it's like what you're eating, how you decide to work out and move, and then just like so we find that plan and then you be consistent on it. So if
Mm,
you don't
love
like
that.
something, don't do it.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth?
Everybody tries to fit into the mold of, what there's so many things and so much information out there. And I think it's just information overload. This is what
Absolutely.
I should be doing.
Yeah.
No, if you
Yeah.
hate it, don't do it. Let's find what you do like and then make sure that we do it every single day.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And sometimes we just get so busy in our daily lives that we even forget for ourselves what we really like, and how a couple
Mm-hmm.
of weeks ago, my husband, was just feeling a little worn down, and I said, I just need to listen to some music or something. And he left like 80s on or something. And I was like, yes, I feel good. This is making me feel good. How easy is that? Yeah, I'd
Mm-hmm.
forgotten that simple little thing of beep putting on some music could make me feel better and make me reset, my mind on that day.
Mm-hmm. I think, and this is just, I love working with such strong women that are in strong professional women, because
Yeah.
this tends to be the pattern is like, we are such doers. It's like we want to do, we're looking, what's the next thing that we can be doing? How can we improve? We almost feel guilty if we're
Yeah.
not accomplishing something or taking an opportunity to learn or grow in some way. And
Yeah.
then we are totally stressed out and burned out. And I love that it's like you caught it like, I need to listen to some music or something. Like, I just know I need something.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, we
he's
have a
like, we
little
need to do
visitor.
it.
Hi,
Hi.
DJ. This is my friend. Her name is Sasha. Look at her beautiful name. You,
Hello. Hi.
you would say hello. Hi.
Hi.
What do you need? I need you to go to sleep. Okay. I'll take a nap later, and I think you're probably getting tired yourself, buddy. See you later. Oh, he's so
I
cute.
love it.
Yeah, he has this idea that because he has to be quiet when I'm in a podcast or when I'm doing a podcast, that he tells his dad is out there. He tells his dad, "Mom is sleeping. She is sleeping," because he has to be quiet. So,
Quiet. She's sleeping. Well, that's
yeah.
nice though.
I know he's so sweet, and he hasn't come in and onto the camera in quite some time now. Like at the very beginning, oh, he had to see everybody and just get in there, and it was hilarious. But yeah, lately he's been really keeping to himself more. So, but that's the beauty of normalizing what an autistic family looks like and showing
Hmm.
that podcast does not stop a child with autism needing to communicate with their parent.
Oh
So,
no. I work
yeah,
from
it's
home
great.
and it's just this right here most of the time. I'm like, I feel like I look like I'm falling over. I'm slightly being dragged in one direction and
Oh,
trying
that's
to
funny.
resist, but I'm
Oh,
like, but I'm still right here with you.
yeah. Isn't that the truth? Oh, and
Hmm.
we kind of talked about that a little bit at the beginning, and that is something um, it just is so happens that we have in common, and and that is
Yes.
the autism and how it has made us as moms and as parents maybe do things a little differently than we
Hmm.
would have expected in going into through our pregnancies and into finding out the diagnosis. And I think it's really important that we have kind of like a level, like a tiered thinking of support, and that is that having someone like yourself going through something newer and not having, going into the school processes and things like that, being able to be there for somebody that's going through that, and then finding somebody who's at the same level. For us it's puberty, and where can we find somebody to connect with that is going through these same things that can help me feel like a little bit more normalized as well, to help connect, but then also somebody really far ahead in the future, somebody that's been through the adult transitioning, and that can really help you get an idea of, okay, this is what they helped these people in this situation.
Hmm.
Finding those levels of support is so important, and we don't know until we do, right? That's something we can look for and should look for.
Yes. I feel like I'm just kind of entering that
Yeah.
phase, because Damon will be 3 in May. And so really we got his diagnosis right after his second birthday. Things are so backed up in Oklahoma, and we were so
Yeah.
fortunate because we were looking at, I mean, really a year out or more
Wow.
before they even were able to do any testing. And I got a phone call. I was on a backup list at one location. Somebody canceled, like, can you be here in 30 minutes?
Oh my
And I was like,
gosh.
I will be there.
Yeah.
And luckily, like I said, it's just we've been able to get him in so many different things and therapy
Yeah.
quickly. So I think it's been really helpful, but just really realizing how much of a community and that support helps you feel more normal,
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
your kid is normal in just a different way.
Yeah, exactly. In our, community kind of way. And it's
Hmm.
okay that it doesn't look like the rest of society. And you really learn through this journey like what works best. It doesn't look the same for every family, whether it's, diet changes made a big difference for our family in removing some of the um inflammatory proteins that were going in and affecting him.
Okay.
He was nonverbal till he was 4, DJ, who just came in. But he was reading and writing at 1 and 2. And
Oh,
so,
wow.
yeah, he was a super, I I had him in 2009, but I was already an older mom and I'd already been raising, I had told you, raised a human. And so
Yes.
I wanted to, early education was so important to me. And so I really wanted to teach him like right away. And you had said something earlier before we got on that really sparked this memory for me. And that is pediatricians having this idea of what this typical um, phase for every single child and every single baby and infant and everything. And
Hmm.
for us, I remember finding out there was some type of like, now this might be really great information for you with an 11-week old, excuse me, um, where you kind of watch their body language to see when they need to go to the bathroom, and you go and put them over the toilet and they go to the bathroom. I started doing that with DJ, and by 3 months he was using the toilet. Like obviously he couldn't walk, he couldn't do that. I
Oh
would
my
notice,
gosh.
yeah, I would
Yeah.
notice these signs. I'd say, oh gosh, it's time, put him over the toilet. He would go. I was so excited, told the pediatrician, you won't believe this. She said, that's ridiculous. Stop. Ridiculous. That's, this baby needs to do this, this, that. That's the last thing. You don't need to put that on the plate or whatever. Are you kidding? Do you know we were in pull ups till he was 7? It took so long to potty train, so long to get through that process that I had literally completed within 3 months of that child being born. But this woman, she, crossed it off my list of things that were okay to do as a new mom
Hmm.
of a new baby. Like that was my first baby. And
Yeah.
now looking back, I'm just like, like so
Should have kept
disappointing.
at it. Yes.
Yeah, I should have just kept at it. And it's really important that you recognize and realize that specialists and doctors and therapists and everyone, they can give you a great opinion, but
Hmm.
you've really got to look at your own family, your own lifestyle, your own time frames, whatever, and meet your own family's needs.
Hmm.
Don't meet the specialist needs or the therapist needs, or, just do what you know is best.
I cannot agree with that more because I had such a high expectation for myself as a first time mom. And I was like, I'm doing things wrong or I'm failing and just feeling so defeated. And now looking back, I'm like, he wasn't the typical, and he wasn't on the same timeline, and he's still not on the same timeline.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And so, yes, second baby, I was like, I'm going to go and take her to the doctor and listen and make sure that she's well and all of that. But I'm not going to have such a high expectation that if, she's not sleeping through the night at 6 weeks old, that something's wrong over here.
Exactly.
Like
A
if she wants
hundred
to eat,
percent.
I'm going to feed her. Like that's
Yeah.
all there is to it.
Yeah.
And it's been a totally different experience. She
Yeah.
acts completely different than he did as a baby, even.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it is just removing a lot of that pressure that
Yeah.
we have on ourselves to just be so perfect.
So true. And we have similar situations is that in that our daughter is 2 years younger than our son. And the same thing. It was like the actual birth was different. It was like they were both C-sections, but this one was controlled and on the time that I wanted it to be, and not just when it was going to happen
Uh-huh.
kind of a thing. And so the same thing though, totally different baby, totally different little human. And it wasn't until she was 8 years old, 8 or 9, that she got her diagnosis, that we found out that she also was on the spectrum and had dyslexia and ADHD. And the dyslexia is what brought us to getting the diagnosis. But then it was like, surprise, kind of on top of that.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting to look back and see how different she was, how it presented in the female form in our household, in her, and like what kind of how it was the same, like when we look back and think, oh my gosh, how did we miss that? Like, how did we miss the language that she used? And it was so similar to the way her brother spoke in these kind of riddled sentences. But for her,
Okay.
it started so early. We were like, oh, this is so cute. This is so this, oh, she likes shoes. Oh, she's such a girl. Oh, she likes to collect baby dolls. Oh, it's such a girl thing. That kid had a baby doll every time we went to the grocery store. We had like 22 baby dolls. I mean, more than any kid ever needed.
Yes.
And it wasn't when you realize and you look back at things and think, oh my gosh, like I missed so many things that I didn't know, were signs of her being on the spectrum too. And it was kind of sweet. We'd said, should we like make a cake or have a party and welcome her to her journey with us now too? It was really because her dad had gotten his diagnosis maybe 4 years prior. And
Oh,
so
wow.
it was a journey of family discovery. And I got mine last May. I went and
Oh
had,
my gosh.
a brain scan done and found out that kind of all the same things, not dyslexic, but ADHD and autism, um,
So
anxiety
all those things showed
overlays.
up on the brain scan?
Yes. And it was so,
Wow.
and I will, because it wasn't through like a psychologist, I'm comfortable saying my findings were this rather than an actual diagnosis because I don't want anyone to, I don't want to mislead anyone or just be upfront about it. But at the same time, I mean, it is what it is. There's
Yeah.
not, so it was an interesting perspective to have my own now being kind of looking, and it, of course, getting her diagnosis really was what urged me to say, oh, she's like me in so many ways. And so
Mm-hmm.
many early detections of how sensory overload or the hyperlexia, which is learning really early and being really doing things quickly, which
Mm-hmm.
sounds like maybe your daughter might have a touch of those, to just that
Yes.
hyper learning kind of sensation. So it's so fascinating to want to know, I guess. And I understand for some families, and it's just kind of day to day life. You just go, we just
Mm-hmm.
have what we have and we not deal with it. I don't want to say that in any way, but just, I have what they have, I guess. But for me,
Mm-hmm.
being a little bit more hyper focused and now finding out like I want to know and I want to have all the information. I want to be able to set us up for as much success as possible, not just
Mm-hmm.
one, but as many, and kind of a thing. So
Yes.
it's interesting.
I think that's so. I find that it's like people seem on like one end or the other, and even
Yeah.
with Zaymond, it's almost like they didn't want to say it. Even like they didn't want to
Mm.
say, like, well, he has autism, or this is where he's, even on screening. So, oh, this is where he's testing at, and I wanted to know.
Yeah.
It's like to me, it wasn't a bad thing. I was like, I
Yeah.
just want to know because I want to begin getting him the help and
Mhm.
being, for him to be as successful as possible in so many other ways. And then I've talked with other women, moms, even dads, that it's almost like devastating news.
Painful.
And I'm
Yeah.
so far on the opposite of that. I'm like, no, nobody wants anything to be wrong with their kid. Of course not.
Yeah.
But it's not, listen, it's not devastating. Like I've wanted to know, but finding out how it's like the psychologist almost didn't even want to tell us. She was going through all the results. And I'm like, so does he have an autism diagnosis or not? And she was like, well, yes, he does. I'm like, why don't we just come out and say that? And
Yeah.
it's like we're
Yeah.
tiptoeing around it. And the same way with his physician. And I'm like, for me personally, I understand that, every parent takes it differently.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I just wanted to know so I could begin the next steps.
Yeah.
So I do think it's interesting now being able to see the two different sides, even
Yeah.
as a parent. Some want to know, and then other ones how it can be such a not like a shock or
Yeah.
break your heart in a way instead of
Yeah.
looking at being proactive in other ways because
Yeah.
it's not nothing's they have a diagnosis but nothing's wrong with them.
No, exactly. And the more you know, the better understanding, the better interventions and services and support you can get.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Without finding out, you're going to just be kind of stumbling along the path. Whereas if you have the information, you have the services, like you're guided, you're on horseback, like there's
Mm-hmm.
no falling off the path, you're in a straight line. And
Yes.
that's not to say that you don't change your mind a million times on the journey to really, like I said, find out what's right for your family.
Mm-hmm.
We learned early on that not every therapist is right for our family. And that's hard because you expect the professional, expect them to almost have like all of the answers you need, and you put these pressures onto
Mm-hmm.
them, but you don't even recognize that you're doing it. But then when you hold yourself back and say, okay, yes, my son is now 4 years old. He's, speaking a couple different languages. The last thing he needs is to tell you what sound a dog makes 42 times in a session. Like, that's not necessary information for him, and you're not pushing him to his highest potential.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hard to kind of like find the balance. And then we found these therapists that were play therapists that got down on the floor with them, that played games, that interacted. And this like personality started coming out and growing, and all of this, like, not this regular, oh, I have to do this and say this every single day and sit in a same place
Mm-hmm.
every day with a list of things I have to do. It was so interactive, and it just like brought him to life so much more in those sessions. So
Mm-hmm.
something to look for, and especially I think on that side there's a really great group called Ought Play Therapy, and they
Okay.
have the specialists, they have a special group that they have, and I've interviewed the founder on the show before.
Oh,
So
that's great.
yeah, really great people to maybe find or connect with. So
Yes, I
yeah.
definitely will. I love that.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's not being in the mental health field myself. I would tell so many, even clients, I'm like, if I'm not the person for you, let me know. It's like
Yeah.
people have had really great experiences with therapy. And then even now, I coach more than I do actual therapy, which
Yeah.
allows me so much more movement. And I'm not bound by these strict guidelines that
Yes.
really doesn't fit my personality as well. Like, I want to be transparent and real and be able
Mhm.
to have great conversation and not have these, boundaries that I have to stay within.
Yeah.
And whether it's counseling, coaching, even me telling people, it's like, I may not be the best fit for you. And it's like, you have to find who is going to fit you and your
Mhm.
personality. So that way you can see results. And same way with our kids. I'm like, that's ultimately what as adults we need and as kids.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to click. You have to do
Definitely.
what works for you and what you enjoy. And
Yes.
circling back around our
Yes. Turn that
health.
music
Like, if you're
on,
not,
right? Yeah.
if you're not enjoying it, then you're not going to do it. And they're not going to
Yeah.
do it either.
No, it's so true. Providing that example of being the change, right? I love that quote, be the change. And it's so true. And I want to show up all the time and be doing the right thing. And sometimes it looks differently. Sometimes it's not maybe around health or exercise. Sometimes it's around connection and letting them know that I understand that at this point, there's a lot of connection that goes into having kids and really building those relationships and recognizing that oftentimes they're not really seeking as much attention as they are a connection. So really building time for that and building that space for them, to have that.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
If I could share something with you, even what
Please.
was just so comforting right now, even to me, it's like that you let your little one, it's like you're working, but it's like he came in, you acknowledge him,
Yeah.
but we're not trying to push him away. So that's what your life looks like. And
Yeah.
even for me, I'm like, it told me just now, I'm like, it's okay.
Yep.
Other people are going through things like this
Yep.
because I feel all the time like people aren't going to think I'm as professional or is it rude that I'm like, this is what my life looks
Yeah.
like. half the time, and we can't always control that.
No,
And
one literally, like I would say,
yeah,
one out of 180 people have been a little off-putted by his appearance and coming in. Only one person. And that's
yeah,
great. I'll take that 1%.
yes. So that helped me even to be like, it's
Oh,
okay.
I love that. I'm so proud to
Yeah,
have to, hear that. And it's so good to just show an example of what it's like to, yeah, try to be a working mom. And, even if it's
hmm,
doing a voluntary podcast, it's still like my hours that I put into it and my passion.
yes,
And at the same time, he's my number one. Like he stays home. So I he's my first priority. And yeah, I think it's great that we can kind of build those things together, maybe. And you know,
yes.
maybe someday he'll be a little co-host with me and come in and we could talk to people together. I mean, that would be kind of exciting. And
That would. I bet
yeah,
he does too.
he is really interesting, right? He speaks 100, well, he you can see he speaks English in his own way. He studies about 130 languages.
Oh my
um
gosh.
yes, and he is just when he was 8, he was doing like 10th grade math. And so he's 13 going on college professor basically these
Oh my
days.
gosh. So does he just love languages?
Yeah, he loves languages. Right now, his special interest is, well, he has a few, but one that he loves to talk about is fonts. He loves fonts. He's memorized just millions of different fonts. And so when we go to the grocery store, he'll see, oh, this is in this font, this is in this font. And
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
he can recognize them. And he just loves to talk about it. So I try to stay I love Canva. Luckily, I'm a digital creator, so I get on there and look, I know all of those too. And maybe
You need to
that's just
ask him which one
yeah,
would look the best. Just throw one at me.
exactly, right? Oh my gosh, yeah, he's funny. So it's in really exciting. Like I said, going out into the community. I need to do it more and maybe get more uh, awareness and acceptance out there. Uh, it's so important that we do those things and just really advocate for our kids and take care of
Hmm.
ourselves, right?
Yes, I completely agree. Until I've had to do that, even within my own family, it's like no one was ever exposed to any, a child with special needs.
Yeah.
And then being exposing them, it's like with Zaman, like now, of course, they love him, but being able to, like, he's different. You can't treat
Mhm.
him just exactly the same way. And, this
Mhm.
is what this looks like. And also breaking in their mind what it looks like to be special needs.
Yes, a
I'm like,
hundred
he
percent.
is so capable in so many
Yeah.
ways. I'm like, he is athletic beyond belief. I'm
Mhm.
like, he was the kid, I'm like, he's, rowing at 12 months old, like he when he wants to sit on a rower, and because he
Yeah.
sees us do all these things, and like
I
he is so
love
physically
that.
active and strong,
Wow.
but he doesn't speak yet. And people think it's like, oh, well, it's so sad. Is he sad he doesn't talk? I'm like, no, he's so happy, he's thriving. I'm like,
Yeah.
that part will come. And so
Yeah.
breaking those molds and bringing so much awareness. And
Yes.
even doing this, it's like I come from a very private family. It's like, we keep
Yeah.
our business to ourselves, and
Yeah.
I'm the different one. And
Amen.
yep, I'm like, I want to share. I'm like, if other people did
Yes.
not talk about it, I'm like, you would not know. So it's
Right.
important for us to talk about it.
Isn't that the truth? And it's important that
Hmm.
we show how successful it can be. And
Hmm.
we honor the times that are challenging and say that those do happen too. And it's not a road paved with all flowers. There's lots of mud and muck, and you make your way through with the best tools possible. So it's what we can do. Where do you have a website or social media where people can come and follow you if they want to, get more support or find out more about you?
On Instagram, it's Sasha, Sasha underscore fit counselor. And then on Facebook, it's under Sasha Rogers. and I have a page, and it's Sasha Rogers, counselor and health coach. So
Right.
yeah, so Facebook and Instagram are the best places to reach me, and we run, fun challenges that are quick for
Hmm.
people. We do it's elite coaching, but anybody can feel free to reach out for just support, guidance in
Love it.
both physical and mental health. I love
Yeah.
that. So that's what we
Oh,
want to do.
wonderful. It was such a great pleasure to have you on the show today. I'm so glad we connected.
Yes, this has been great. Thank you.
Yeah,
It's so wonderful just to know there's other people out there that have the same passion.
absolutely. And we'll definitely connect on social media so we can stay in touch with each other and everything.
Yes,
So,
I appreciate it.
yay. Thank you so much for your time and we'll definitely be in touch.
That sounds great. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.